Hello, everybody. All right, welcome to the Mikestand. Today is, of course, Friday, January the 9th, 2026. So hopefully everybody's had a good week thus far. Of course, we're going to give people a chance to come in before we get started. Um, Friendly reminder to everybody, of course, if you haven't already, if you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions the best of my ability. Anyways, so earlier today, of course, this afternoon, I was watching some more cartoons from 1944. Got finished the latter half of the cartoons that came out in um, May of 1944, including a couple of private snafu cartoons, one of which wasn't even released at the time for fear of actually. It's kind of ironic because this particular short was actually about the idea of exposing secrets, as it were, classified information. And then they ended up not releasing this cartoon until obviously years later when the information was, past due, obviously. It was going home, and it was basically about snafu when he was on leave at home. He was sitting there blabbing to everybody about all these secret plans of the U.S. military, being the dope that he is. And it's kind of funny because because they actually had um a I guess a figure or a draw a figure of the makings of a bomb. Actually, one of the reasons they did not release this particular short at the time was because they were afraid that it would leak out that that they were working on a quote unquote super bomb. So, anyways, and it's kind of ironic because the whole short was actually about what happens when you blab classified secrets. So, but obviously they released it years later. Obviously, due to the fact because obviously the information in it would have been very old and not really like anybody would have. I mean, obviously, people found better ways to kill each other, right? As it were. But anyways, um, but now we're coming up on 4 minutes here, so I guess I'll talk about what's on tap for tonight. So I've got three articles I'm going to go over from MeTV Tunes. We're going to look back. Well, the first article we're going to look back at some of the classic cartoon themes that were written by Hoyt Curtin, who was basically the music man for Hanna Barbera. He wrote a number of classic cartoon themes. So we'll look at his career and all that. We'll also look at an interview with the man of a thousand voices, Mel Blanc, talking about who his favorite directors were. And then they got some information on the upcoming live action Scooby Doo series. So we'll be looking at that. Plus, of course, we'll get all caught up we'll get all caught up on the latest in the world of pro wrestling. Look back, of course, to last night's Ring of Honor and TNA shows. Well, looking ahead to tonight's SmackDown, albeit SmackDown's already taken place because they held it in Berlin. And I know one of the big matches that was going on tonight was Cody would be defending the WWE title against Drew McIntyre. And then Also looking ahead to tomorrow night's, Collision as well. And then, of course, getting all caught up on all the latest in terms of, or getting caught up on this day in each history to wrap things up. But anyways, I need to go off camera here for a quick moment, so I'll be right back, but I will put some music on while I'm gone. Start. Sure. All right, I'm back. Oh, with that being said, again, so now we're gonna go ahead and get started on material here. Friendly reminder, one last friendly reminder before we get going here, to everybody. If you haven't already, you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream. See if we can get some more friendly people to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and I will try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. So, with that being said, let's get into this. Let's get into the articles here. Alrighty then. Oh, let's get to this first one down here. A collection of Hoyt Curtin's best theme songs. So, Hoyt Curtin, as I said, was basically the music man for Hanna-Barbera. He was the guy who basically came up with all of the music for a number of the Hanna-Barbera cartoons. He's, music director. We like Curtin, that's for certain. Article published January 6, 2026 by MeTV Toon Staff. So that was, of course, Monday, obviously. See a lot of the things right there. Musical director, Hoyt Curtin. Cross out the... All right, so if you ever watched a Hanna-Barbera cartoon, chances are you've seen the name Hoyt Curtin before. As Hanna-Barbera's musical director, Curtin was the music man behind the scores and theme songs of some of your favorite cartoons, as I mentioned a moment ago. It all started back in Bill Hanna and Joe Barbera's MGM days, back in the days when they were doing, of course, Tom and Jerry, when they met Curtin as the three creatives collaborated on a Schlitz beer commercial for the Leo Burnett agency. When Hanna-Barbera struck out at MGM and went off to start their own animation studio, they called Curtin to compose a theme song for their new cartoon, The Rough and Ready Show. The Rough and Ready Show was the first ever Hanna-Barbera cartoon back in 1957. It actually came out the year before Huckleberry Hound. Of course, didn't gain as much popularity as obviously Huckleberry Hound and eventually Yogi Bear, but it's still the first. So, Curtin composed a melody in under 5 minutes, and this theme song led to Hanna-Barbera hiring Curtin as the musical director of the Hanna-Barbera cartoons. If you look closely at the credits, you see his name in most Hanna-Barbera cartoons, and even today, his influence is felt in the scores of new cartoons and the structure of theme songs. The King of the Jingle wrote over 215 cartoon theme songs, but here are a few of our favorites. The Flintstones. Number 1, The Flintstones, which of course is a classic too. The Flintstones theme song was Curtin's all-time favorite. In an interview for the 1994 live-action movie, Curtin said, quote, "It's a catchy little tune, just a simple thing arranged for jazz and singers. Flintstones, meet the Flintstones, have a yabba-dabba-doo time, a yabba-doo time, we'll have a gay old time." Let's see, The Smurfs. The Smurfs was the last cartoon Curtin worked on, and he also considered it one of his favorites because he got to incorporate classical music into the background music, including works from Bach, Beethoven, Mozart, and more. Yeah, the music he put together for the Smurfs really helped fit the mold there, kind of being in that more medieval setting. Da, 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 da. Oh, wait. Da, 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 da. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Number 3, The Jetsons. Number 3, The Jetsons. After the Jetsons revival, the theme song actually reached number 9 on the Billboard charts in 1986. Meet George Jetson, do 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 do. His boy Elroy, do 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 do. Daughter Judy, Jane, his wife, do 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 do. Number 4, Yogi Bear. Yogi Bear. Let's see. Curtin is catchier than the average composer. Curtin composed the music for the Yogi Bear Show, as well as its spin-offs Yogi's Gang, Yogi's Space Race, Galaxy Goof-Ups, and Yogi's Treasure Hunt. Additionally, Curtin composed the music for Yogi Bear's musical movies, Yogi's First Christmas and Yogi's All-Star Comedy Christmas Caper. Who's the bear that's on the spot? Yogi. Why behind the scene? Yogi Bear. Number 5, the new Scooby-Doo movies and more. While Curtin did not compose the original Scooby-Doo Where Are You theme song, he did compose most of the spin-offs theme songs, including the new Scooby-Doo movies. He also composed the theme song for the animated version of Genie and the Addams Family. whose cast members were guest stars on the new Scooby-Doo movies. Hey, Scooby! Scooby-Dooby-Doo! Looking for you! Scooby-Dooby-Doo, where are ya? All the stars are here, waiting for you. Couldn't have a show without ya. Number 6, Josie and the Pussycats. And yes, I'm singing some of them to give you guys, at least a sample of what kind of. Granted, maybe my voice isn't quite as good as theirs, but hopefully you get the joy out of it, anyways. Josie and the Pussycats. Unlike the other shows on this list, most of the music on Josie and the Pussycats was produced by Lala Productions to give the cast a more authentic girl band sound. But Curtin wrote the theme song with Hanna-Barbera. Josie and the Pussycats. Wacky Races. On your mark. Number 7, Wacky Races. On your mark. Get set. Go. Curtin composed the spoken instrumental theme song to Wacky Races, but fellow Hanna-Barbera musical director Ted Nichols wrote the theme songs to The Perils of Penelope Pitstop and Dastardly and Muttley in their flying machines. Let's see, Wacky Races. That's right, the Wacky Races. Number 8, the Huckleberry Hound Show. When Hanna-Barbera took the risk of creating the first half-hour cartoon show, some would say the biggest show in town, they knew Hoyt Curtin would reliably deliver the theme song and fun music to carry the viewers through the episode. Number 9, Johnny Quest. In an interview, Curtin said that the Johnny Quest theme song was one of his personal favorites, tied with the Flintstones and the Jetsons. As an action and adventure cartoon, Curtin got to lean into more serious musical scoring, but he still had some fun. As an avid trombone player, Curtin wrote the Johnny Quest theme song as a challenge for the 6 trombone players in the orchestra. In an email interview with the classic Johnny Quest blog, Curtin recalled, quote, "I had to stay in the booth because I was laughing so hard watching my buddies, the bone players, trying to cut that tune. Nobody would quit, of course. It was written in the worst possible key for trombone. Love it. Do 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 do. I'm just gonna check something here real quick. Oh yeah, he better leave. I was just looking up. I pretty much figured he might have passed on already, but I just figured I might as well check. Hoyt Curtin passed away back in 2000, the age of 78. So, anyways, number 10, the Peter Potter Show, the McGilla Gorilla Show, and more. So Curtin wrote the theme song and composed the music for all of the following cartoons: Peter Potamus, McGilla Gorilla, Ricochet Rabbit, and Droopalong, Pumpkin Puss and Mush Mouse, Breezy and Sneasley, Hokey Wolf, Loopy the Loop, Wally Gator, Lippy the Lion, and Hardy Har Har. Lippy the Lion and Hardy Har Har. Touche Turtle away! Touche Turtle and Dum Dum. Top Cat, the unbelievable Top Cat. And Yippee, Yappy, and Yahooey. Additionally, Curtin was uncredited, but contributed to the music from the Adam Ant Secret Squirrel Show. Watch House of Hanna-Barbera on MeTV Tunes, weekdays at 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 Central, 8 Pacific, and Sundays at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Central, and 10 a.m. Pacific. Alrighty then. Well, there we go with the first article there. Now let's get ready to move on to the next article. And Meta, I don't know if you're here, but you might. I know that you've already said that that Mel Blanc is your favorite. Probably one of your favorite voice actors. So you might want to check this scene out. What we're about to do here. So, who was Mel Blanc's favorite Looney Tunes director? Did the man of 1,000 voices have a favorite director? Article published January 8th, which was, of course, yesterday, by MeTV Toon staff. So let's take a look at this. Look at that right there. There's Mel Blanc with what looked like a young kid there. young kid's actually acting more like a composer with it up here. So, Mel Blanc joined Leon Schlesinger Productions in 1936 and was the main voice actor behind Looney Tunes characters until his death in 1989. As one of the few people to have worked with every single Looney Tunes director, Mel Blanc was often asked which director was his favorite. Everyone was curious, was it Bob Clampett or Chuck Jones, or maybe Tex Avery or Frank Tashlin? But what about Fritz Frayling or Bob McKinson? Warner Brothers Animation had an embarrassment of riches when it came to talented animation directors, and Blanc had worked with all of them many times over. In his memoir, That's Not All, Folks, Blanc mulled over this question. Quote, naturally, each director had his own style, and at Warner Brothers, I had the privilege of working with some of the industry's finest. The book was published in 1988 when Blanc was still working with Fritz Frayling and Chuck Jones on movies like Daffy Duck's Quackbusters. So, of course, he had to be diplomatic in his rankings of the directors. Frayling and Jones were the only two directors Blanc included in the acknowledgement section of the book. Blanc settled on a director worthy of a positive mention. Quote, for me, Robert McKinson was easiest to work with because he always knew what he wanted and how to communicate it. Unquote. While Blanc had a good working relationship with McKinson, there was another director he struggled with. Quote, the only one I had any trouble with was Clampett. He was an egotist who took credit for everything, yet in the studio, he could be irritatingly indecisive. Wow. That almost sounds like a pretty damning statement, doesn't it? It's worth noting that Bob Clampett, the creator of Tweety Bird, was fairly unpopular within the Warner Brothers animation department, having major beef with Eddie Seltzer, Chuck Jones, Fritz Frayling, Tex Avery, and now confirmed beef with Mel Blanc. But who was Mel Blanc's real favorite director? Quote, hell, how do I answer? He wrote, quote, certainly each had his area of expertise. Jones was the best animator of the lot. Avery, probably the cleverest gag man. Frayling, unsurpassed for sheer imagination. And Tashlin, a technical innovator, introducing to cartoons motion picture devices such as off-kilter angles, montage effects, and quick cuts. All were tremendous talents. Unquote. So he's basically giving praise to all of them. You know, he was giving praise to all of them. And of course, back when these interviews were probably done, I think all of the directors are still with us as well. So, anyways, as we continue on here, let's see. Everyone's a winner in Mel Blanc's heart. But here is how he actually ranked them. Quote, I'll go out on a limb here and put Frayling, Jones, and Avery just slightly ahead of McKimson and Tashlin, with Clampett just slightly behind. If this was a horse race, it would be a photo finish. Okay. Watch Bugs Bunny and Friends on MeTV Tunes weekdays at 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 Central, 6 a.m. Pacific, and 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central, 5 Pacific. Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central, 5 Pacific, and Sundays at 12 noon Eastern, 11 Central, and 9 a.m. Pacific. All right, so continuing on then, we do have one more article we're going to go through before we move on to the wrestling wrap-up here. So let's go grab that article. And I actually do need to step away from the computer for a moment, so I'm going to put some music on, showing you guys when I'm gone, and then when I come back, we'll get into this article here. So I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. So let's get into this last article here before we move on to the wrestling wrap up. All right, so everything we know so far, in parentheses there, about the upcoming live action Scooby Doo series, A New Generation of Scooby Doo. Article published earlier today by MeTV Toon staff. So let's see what's going on here. It's a new year, and that means new Scooby Doo. Netflix announced in March 2025 that a new live action Scooby Doo series was greenlit, and now it's been announced that production will begin in April 2026. The series is spearheaded by showrunners and writers Josh Applebaum and Scott Rosenberg, both from the creative producing team Midnight Radio. Applebaum is not a stranger to the adaptation of classic cartoons. He wrote Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2014 and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows 2016. Rosenberg has written many action and adventure films like Kangaroo Jack, Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, Jumanji The Next Level, and Venom. Executive producer Greg Berlanti has strong ties to Warner Brothers TV and the Hanna-Barbera cartoon universe. Berlanti released a statement about his personal connection. Quote, one of my first and favorite jobs in Hollywood was sitting with Bill Hanna and Joe Barbera while they signed animation cells. Josh and Scott and everyone at Midnight Radio have crafted a story that captures their amazing spirits and their genius creation, unquote. Here is the official synopsis of the 8-episode series. Quote, a modern reimagining of the iconic mystery-solving group of teens and their very special dog. During their final summer at camp, old friends Shaggy and Daphne get embroiled in a haunting mystery surrounding a lonely lost Great Dane puppy that may have been a witness to a supernatural murder. Together with the pragmatic and scientific Townie, Velma, and the strange but ever so handsome new kid, Freddy, they set out to solve the case that is pulling each of them into a creepy nightmare that threatens to expose all of their secrets. Unquote. So it sounds like early on here, like they're putting in some elements of the pup named Scooby Doo, where they're starting out as kids. Not necessarily as teenagers, or if they are teenagers, like younger teenagers, like maybe instead of like from the series when they were like depicted as I think 16, 17, 18-year-olds, they're here, and maybe they're slightly older than they were presented in a pup named Scooby Doo, when they were presented more probably like as 9, 10, 11-year-olds. They're probably more like 13, 14, 15-year-olds here, but I guess we'll just wait and see. The core 5 members of Mystery Inc. will be in the series: Shaggy, Daphne, Fred, Velma, and Scooby. According to what's on Netflix, the series takes place when the characters are high school campers at Camp Ruby Spears, which of course named after, of course, Ruby Spears Productions, after, of course, Joe Ruby and Ken Spears, who did some work on the Scooby-Doo series. Also gave us like Fang Face, among other things, as well as the Centurions, I believe. Many fans and outlets are speculating that the series is casting younger actors around 14 to 17 years old, which would be kind of true. Additionally, the series is supposedly aiming for a similar vibe to Stranger Fields. So it sounds like they might be going a little darker with this series than the traditional Scooby-Doo model. And the new Scooby-Doo series will be filmed in let's see. But perhaps the most exciting part of this upcoming series, original Scooby-Doo Where Are You cast member Frank Welker has been reported to be voicing Scooby-Doo. Welker voiced Fred in the original series and most of the movies and spin-offs, and later took over the role of Scooby after the passing of Don Messick back in, of course, 1997. The current title of the new series, according to Production Weekly, is Scooby-Doo Origins. No word yet on it. TV tunes weekdays at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 3:30 Central, 1:30 Pacific, and Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central, and 7 a.m. Pacific. If I went out there for anyways, hopefully that was just a glitch, not a sign of something more problematic. All right. So, anyways, all right. So, with all that, let's get ready. And we'll, of course, look back first off to last night's impact and look back to last night's impact and Ring of Honor shows. On last night's Impact, the last Impact on Access TV with Tom Hannafan and Matthew Rainwatt on commentary, with coming from the El Paso County Coliseum. Opening match saw Danny Luna defeat Harley Hudson in just over 3 minutes. Then in a match for the international title, Steve Macklin defeated Channing Lorenzo via DQ. Lorenzo, of course, retained, as of course as in most promotions. Title cannot change hands on a DQ. And then in the main event, saw an 8-man tag match. Saw a team of TNA X Division champion Leon Slater team with TNA World Tag Team champions the Hardys and Prime Cedric Alexander to defeat the system of Eddie Edwards, Brian Myers, Moose, and JDC. So that's all that went down on last night's Impact. So now we'll move on to looking back on last night's Ring of Honor. Coming from the Esports Stadium Arlington in Arlington, Texas, with Caprice Coleman and Ian Riccaboni on commentary. Last night's Ring of Honor on Honor Club. Opening match saw Ace Austin defeat Aaron Solo in 7 minutes 35 seconds. For the first time in a few weeks, the Crew, Action Andretti and Leo Rush, came back with Lacey Lane in their corner to defeat the team of Jay Alexander and Will Allday. In another tag team match, the Shane Taylor Promotions duo in a mixed tag team match, as it were. Lee Moriarty and Trace Fedora with Shane Taylor in their corner defeated the team of Skyflight of Darius Martin and Zeta Steel with Christopher Daniels in their corner. In a women's tag team match, the MITs of Diamante and Billy Starks with Athena in their corner to the team of Reza Clark and Shay Carmichael. In mixed six-person tag action, the premier athletes of Arya Davari, Story Denali, and Tony Nese with Mark Sterling in their corner defeated the team of Dalen Cavins, Demo Diamond, and Rachel Ellering. And more six-man tag action. Outrunners of Turbo Floyd and Truth Magnum teaming with Dalton Castle defeated the Frat House of Griff Garrison, Cole Carter, and Preston Bennett with Jack Jameson in their corner. In tag team action, two-thirds of the former Ring of Honor World Six-Man Tag Team Champions, the Von Erich, Marshall and Ross Von Erich, defeated the M&M collection of Mansoor and Mason Madden with, of course, Johnny TV and Taya Valkyrie in their corner. Sammy Guevara defeated Kieran Gray in 2 minutes 38 seconds. And in the main event, saw the tag team of the Swirl, Blake Christian and Lee Johnson, with Jay Lethal in their corner, defeat the team of Adam Priest and Tommy Billington. So that's all we have for that's all we have for Ring of Honor. So now let's look ahead to tonight's SmackDown. Now, the SmackDown, I'm not going to go over the results only because even though I know that it happened in Berlin, so it happened earlier, so still might be getting aired later on tonight. So, coming from the Uber Arena in Berlin, Germany, with Wade Barrett and Joe Tessitore on commentary and airing on the USA Network tonight. The matches already signed for the match tonight include Ray Phoenix taking on Trick Williams. In a match for the Women's United States Championship, Julia defends, coming off of her win last week of defeating Chelsea Green, goes right into a title defense, and she defends the title against Alexa Bliss. In an eight-man tag match, the Wyatt Six of Joe Gacy, Uncle Howdy, Dexter Loomis, and Eric Rowan take on the MFTs of JC Mateo, Solo Sikoa, Tala, and Tamatonga. Alba Fire of the Green Regime takes on the debuting Jordynne Grace. I'm actually kind of glad to see Jordynne Grace on SmackDown rather than Raw, at least putting her, trying to balance out the Carmelo Hayes defends the United States title against Shinsuke Nakamura. And in a 3 Stages of Hell match, Cody Rhodes will be defending the the undisputed WWE title against Drew McIntyre. And in that 3 Stages of Hell match, it's supposed to be a regular match, Falls Count Anywhere's match, and a steel cage match, as I recall. So that's going down on tonight's SmackDown. Now to look ahead to tomorrow night's AEW Collision. So I get that information. So coming up on tomorrow night's Collision from the Esports Stadium, Arlington, Texas. Matches that have already been signed, of course, in a 6-woman tag match. You have on the one side, you have AEW Women's World Champion Chris Statlander and AEW Women's World Tag Team Champions Harley Cameron and Willow Nightingale of Babe's Wrath. Willow Nightingale, of course, also the TBS champion, taking on the team of Heian, Burt Dixon, and Maya World. El Clone is set to take on Commander following the confrontations they had on last week's Collision. And Mark Briscoe will be defending the TNT title against Don Callis' family member and CMLL's Hechicero. And of course, we'll have all the results from tonight and tomorrow night's shows on Monday in our wrestling wrap up. Then, so now, with that being said, today is Friday, January the 9th, 2026. So let's go ahead and take a look back at this date in Meets History. History! So let me just go ahead and '86, 2011, 2011, and 2021. All right, so first off, we're going to head back 40 years ago. And on this date, 40 years ago today, the first issue of Volume 2 of Secret Origins from DC Comics went on sale on this date back in 1986. Let's see, I believe it ran for something like 50 issues there. So the first issue of the second volume of Secret Origins went on sale on this date. Sold for 75 cents, 32 pages with kind of an expanded telling of the Golden Age Superman's origin. As originally, of course, it was a 12-13 page story, but here they've put 22 pages to it. So, as written by Roy Thomas, with Wayne Boring doing the penciling, Jerry Ordway doing the inking, David Cody Weiss doing the lettering, and Eugene D'Angelo doing the coloring. The story takes place pretty much around the same time as, of course, Action Comics #1 and Superman #53. I guess they're combining some of the. So let's see what the comments say here. The story is a retelling of Superman's origin and first adventure. Pages 2 through 7 retell the origin from his first story of Superman number 53. Pages 8 through 22 retell the story of the first story of Action Comics number 1, with added material from the first story of Superman number 1. So it looks like they kind of combined the two previous times they told the story of Golden Age Superman. So on this date, 40 years ago today, the first issue of Secret Origins Volume 2 from DC Comics went on sale on this date. All right, so moving on to 2011, 15 years ago today. On this date, 15 years ago today, TNA, also known as Total Nonstop Action, held its Genesis pay-per-view on this date back in 2011 from the Impact Zone in Universal Studios, Florida. On the night opened up with Kazarian defeating Jay Lethal to become the new TNA X Division champion. In a match of the TNA Women's Knockout champion, Madison Rayne retained over Mickie James. In a match of the TNA World Tag Team Championships, Beer Money Inc. of Robert Roode and James Storm defeated the team of the Motor City Machine Guns, Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley. Abyss defeated Douglas Williams to become the new TNA Television Champion. In a Double J Double MA exhibition, Kurt Angle and Jeff Jarrett fought to a no contest. Matt Hardy made his TNA debut on this night by defeating Rob Van Dam in just under 12 minutes. And then the final two matches in a number one contendership match for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship, Mr. Anderson defeated Matt Morgan, and then cashing in that opportunity, defeated Jeff Hardy to become the new TNA World Heavyweight Champion. So on this date 15 years ago, TNA held its Genesis pay-per-view, with, of course, marking the TNA debut of Matt Hardy. And 2011 is just so nice that we're going to hit it twice. As also on this date in the year 2011, premiering on Fox on this date, Bob's Burgers. Bob's Burgers premiered on Fox on this date back in 2011. Bob's Burgers is an American animated sitcom created by Lauren Bouchard for the Fox Broadcasting Company. It is centered on the Belcher family, parents Bob and Linda, and their three children, Tina, Jean, and Louise, who run a burger restaurant and often go on adventures of many kinds. The show premiered on this date back in 2011. The series was conceived by Bouchard after he developed home movies. Bob Burgers is produced by Who Productions and Buck and Millie Productions in association with 20th Century Television Animation. The series is animated by Bento Box Entertainment. All right, so there we go with that, and then we have one last piece of niche history to go over. Which on this date 5 years ago today, back in 2021, so I pull that up. The following anime premiered on Japanese television on this date 5 years ago. Studio Volm's Back Arrow, the second season of Cells at Work from David Production, Gohan's Project Scar on the Praetor, Okaruto Noboru's The Hidden Dungeon Only I Can Enter, and Wixock's Diva A Live from JC Staff, all premiered on this date back in 2021, 5 years ago today. So with that, I thank everybody for being here tonight. I hope everybody enjoyed the show. We'll be back here, of course, on Sunday, and I'll be joined by Sabrina, who I met through Rex of Devil Flyer Momentum. We'll be looking back at comics that went on sale in July 1940. This week we'll be focusing in on Lev Gleason. I'll be introducing you guys to Lev Gleason's version of Daredevil, not to be confused with Marvel's Daredevil, of course. We'll be learning a little bit about him. Be reading, his feature, obviously. Let's see. I'll be reading, and that's the only thing I can think of off the top of my head. Oh, we'll be reading, I believe, Silver Streak as well. Silver Streak, Daredevil. I think there are a couple other stories I caught. Probably reading up to like 4 stories. Oh yeah, Dickie Dean, Boy Detective, I believe. So quite a bit of stuff. And then of course, on Monday we'll be back here with more Niche News, of course. So with that, thank everybody for being here. As always, I hope y'all enjoyed the shows this week. I know last night kind of dragged on and started up a little late, but sometimes that happens. So, Scooby-Doo, hey Scooby, where are you? Over here. Alrighty then. So I will see you all on Sunday. Bye.